So team member or staff member?
Team member, absolutely team member. I don't believe, I don't believe that the team works for me. I believe we work together. Absolutely.
Especially if you want your team to be a part of the brand. Come on, give me the intro, man.
Start. Forget about your intro. Just fuck the intros. Fuck everything.
Surviving the digital jungle is tough. We're here to guide you through it on the Digital Jungle Podcast.
Okay, so look, this topic is, slightly broad, holistic, as one would say, but I think it's very important that we have this platform and you can share some of your own successes, right? So this one is about your team, okay? So there's a couple points that I want to kind of extract your belief, right? So this isn't about business. It's more of a human perspective, right?
Yep.
So, the importance of working for your team with the objective of, is it a team member or staff member? Before you start, I'll just give you a bit more context, the viewers a bit more context, right? 3 times this week, I heard a comment of somebody saying, oh, my old boss never used to say good morning, or, oh yeah, my old boss, you would walk into the office and say good morning, you wouldn't, like, there's a thing out there like that. You can clearly see, like, when ego gets to the best of you and you feel like you can treat your team like they're just a number, right? Like, in your belief system, what do you value? And what do you stand by?
So
team member or staff member?
Team member, absolutely team member. Definitely team member. I don't believe, I don't believe that the team works for me. I believe we work together, right? I absolutely love my team anyway, but, the way, it's so funny because, if I was to provide you an analogy, right? And this is the best way to explain my mentality behind this, right? So the players in my team, yeah? So I'm gonna use the analogy of sport, right? The players in my team. I have specialist players. So whatever sport you want to call it, right? If you want to talk about NRL, you want to talk about basketball,
whatever. Let's say
basketball. All right, let's say basketball. In my team where I have heaps of specialist players. Each department is a specialist team, right? And I'm never going to pretend that I know more than my designer who lives and breathes design, right? I'm never going to pretend I know more. Yeah. I come with a different set of experiences. Now, if I was to say I have heaps of team members, say my designers, they are the point guards, yeah? I'm not a great point guard, but I'm the coach. What is the coach's role at the end of the day? Number one, first and foremost, if you go to the very, very top, the role of a coach is to form a highly qualified and specialist team. Number one, form it, right? What does that mean? Your recruitment process, your training process. How do you embed them into your culture? Yeah? I believe we've been able to nail that. The way we recruit, the way we nurture and evolve a staff member is fantastic. We've got a fantastic system here where we've mastered over the last 10 years. That's number one. Number two, the role of a coach is putting their players in the best position to win. Yeah?
Dive deeper on that.
So what that means is so as a product director, I can't set my designer up for failure. I can't set my AdWords specialist up for failure. So what that means is the work that they receive from, for example, the account managers, from business development, the brief needs to be really good. Now, as their coach, as my department's coach, I'm going to go to the account management team, the business development team, and hold them at least as much as I possibly can accountable to give my team member a good brief so they can deliver good work. Yeah? Because if they don't get a good brief, they're going to deliver mediocre work. And that's not what my team does. You understand what I'm saying? Now, putting them in the best position to win, that's one part. Part two, they're the specialist, uncuff them. You understand? Uncuff them. Take the handcuffs off. Don't micromanage it. Let them be free to think. You understand what I'm saying? Number three, there's no question that's a dumb question. Keep asking. You understand? If you can get closer to what the answer you're looking for, keep asking. Allow them to ask those questions.
Okay.
And I would say the last part is, and I think we do a fantastic job as a company here, is keeping everyone in the loop and keeping them on the same page. So that's a lot to do with training. That's a lot to do with regular meetings and catch-ups with the entire company. They have this visibility of where the company's heading. So when they know where the entire company's heading and how every department is performing, what happens is they understand that they have to keep on progressing. You understand? When they have that visibility, when you incubate them and you hide them and they don't have that transparency, they're only in their little bubble.
Great, because my next question was going to be about the value of inclusion, and then how highly do you recommend it to anyone else that runs a business out there, or anyone else that runs a team or a department, or anyone that kind of has to work with people who you're not related to. You know, what's the value of inclusion?
Look, the problem is, when you're running a business, you can get so distracted with the commercial part of it, right? Where you almost forget, and this is where a lot of leaders or business owners or whatever it might be, they get really lost in that bubble, because when you get so stuck into the commercials of a business, you forget the human element. You forget, that your team member, you might see them flat in a day. You always have to remember there's the human element. There's personal stuff. There's the grind of the workload. You know what I mean? There's emotional stuff. There's so many things you can't forget that. But when you remember the human element, you as a human, then you look inwards. Do you like the inclusive feel? Do you like to be part of something? Do you like your family feel? Do you like being your group of friends? Do you like that inclusive feeling?
Pretty much, from what I understand, and this is something that I also like to believe in myself, right? It sounds like you approach it from more of a humble point of view, because to be humble in business is to remember that you're a human and you deal with humans, right? So you're not above the law.
Never.
You understand? So, I've seen people go down a very bad path, mentally and physically, when they let that kind of inner ego take over the whole mindset and body. I've seen it, damage people's reputation, because your reputation is everything, right? Your reputation, what someone knows you as, it's everything. And I've seen it take people down a bad path, and I feel like in this world where, like I said, content sharing is there. People, things are becoming more real and raw. Production is speeding up. Like, inclusion in your team is also important. In your company, you have to believe in it. You know what I mean? When I say that, you can't just, say, for example, you have your superstars, right? So you have,
I was finding it hard to articulate what I wanted to, because I do believe in exactly what you're saying. Inclusion.
Me too. I find it hard to articulate.
I can tell you.
Yeah.
People operate better when they have a sense of ownership to anything. That if my team have a sense of ownership in the brand AiiMS.
Yes, good point.
You understand?
Bingo.
And the way you get them there
Bingo.
is the inclusive feeling.
But do you see how that goes back to team member or staff member?
Yeah, absolutely.
Team member or staff member? It's team member.
Absolutely.
Especially if you want your team to be a part of the brand. You know, like that's why I said you're not above the law. You know, your brand has to have its own home that anyone can live in.
I'm gonna tell you, the only thing that sometimes it can get a little bit blurry, and I tell you, between team member and manager, or team member and business owner, or whatever it might be, it's usually when it goes sort of sour or goes a little bit off. It's usually when team member or vice versa, the business owner gets the other person's intention wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
You know
We're
what I
all
mean?
guilty of it. But can I just for the record, I'll just tell you what I think the best formula in the world is, right? And I think, you know, if you have respect, you can have inclusion. If you can not be sensitive, you know, then you can really win with the inclusion. And if you have passion, you know, you have to be passionate. You know, I heard a quote the other day, like, it's one that's actually good to remind you every now and then, you know, because we've been under the pump lately, right? Our team we've been really super busy, you know, and it's like, if you're stressed at work, like you two types of stresses, right? Like if you're passionate about what you do, you won't call it stress. You know, it's more like a daily challenge, a challenge to get quicker or get better. You know, if you're look at it like it's just stress, then you're not passionate about it. And, you know, I used to kind of flick through that stuff and never pay attention, but I actually really believe it now, because if you're passionate about what you do, you don't leave stressed, you know?
Yeah, and then if you want to touch back onto the inclusion part, when you're so passionate, you want to share. And when you share, you're including someone. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're trying to include people to what you've just achieved. Yeah,
That's right.
I agreed.
Yeah. So overall takeout from that is attitude.
Yeah,
One's
absolutely.
attitude, whether it's in your business, in your brand has attitude too. Your, you know, team, whatever it might be, attitude is super important. And so is
Agreed.
respect.
Agreed.
Yeah. Okay.